My bit gets to be shorter because Wing's Eye has been fantastic, given the entire context, given the entire motivation as to why we're wanting to work with faculty, work with in your situation. The particular angle that the Faith and Science Collaborative Research Forum takes is to say we're working with scientists, broadly interpreted as scientists, engineers, medics, theologians, philosophers will take the body. And we're working with faculty. Our main pitch is to then work with faculty for exactly the reasons that Wing's Eye outlined. It said, if you can do the big events and you can reach 100 people, or 1,000 people at film and 100 people at a big public workshop. But if we can actually change the way that faculty think, if we can change the way that faculty engage with the subject, then it's an awesome end in itself, and also it has trickle-down effects that you then change the culture within the university, you change the culture within the way people think. You can actually start to talk about how can we do science Christianly. And so this is what the Faith and Science Collaborative Research Forum does. We're based physically at Hong Kong U employs me, but we're not limited in our scope to Hong Kong U. We're very pleased to have people involved from other universities as well. So we stretch Hong Kong wide. Right, so that's an introduction to that. Do you want to hold the mic while I switch around there? I think. Here we go. Okay, so do I need the mic as well? One more. I need 2 mics. Oh, this is for recording and this is for making me louder. I'm never going to be able to wave my hands enough if I have this many mics on. I'm going to have to live with that. Okay, so I now put on my other hat. Now it's a pleasure to be able to give the first talk of the Redeeming Technology workshop series. This is going to go for about 15 hours. And so I get to set the stage for what's coming. There are going to be some amazing people who've thought long and hard and deeply about this, and I get to at least sort of open the box and say, here are what some of the things are. So before we spend 15 hours on redeeming technology, I have questions, starting with, what does it mean to redeem a thing? Like, I can understand that people need redemption, but how do I redeem a fork? What does it mean to redeem a thing? So that's essentially my question for this talk with a slightly different title, but here we go. So there's an idea within science that scientists seek truth. And so taking mathematics as this nice basic idea, 2 + 2 = 4, it's true. You can't redeem mathematics, surely, because it's just true. It's not good, it's not bad, it's not immoral, it just is. Now, physics, of course, is applied mathematics. E = mc² is just true. It's a brute fact of the universe, waiting to be discovered, but there. Now, if you apply this to the way the universe works, it also happens to be true that uranium-235 will decay and it will release some energy when it does so. Right? That's, uranium is not evil. It just does what it does and it happens to release energy. Now, engineering, being applied physics, it's a truth of the universe that if you put uranium in a particular configuration, then you can set off a runaway chain reaction of nuclear fission on demand. Right? This is true. This is always true, whether we do it or not. This is just a brute fact of the universe. It's surely morally neutral. Right? The moral problem is not this, because this was always true. The moral problem is the guy that hits this button. And we have this idea that says this is fine, this is morally problematic, And in between, something happened. And we like the idea that everything happened here. Right? It's convenient for us as engineers and scientists because we do this. We don't push the button. It's so convenient that possibly it's too convenient, and we might want to sit back and say, maybe there's something deeper going on and we should ask. So that then leads me to the question, what does it mean, again, I'll phrase it, to redeem technology? More questions that I have. Maybe you have similar questions. And if you do, you're in luck, because this is the outline of my talk. In redeeming technology, do I need to lead a nuclear bomb in the sinner's prayer? Spoiler alert, the answer to that is no. Are bad things just things made by bad people? Because I understand that people can be bad. Maybe just bad things are things that bad people make. And then I just need to redeem the people and the things will sort themselves out. And if that's not true, and I'm going to argue that it is a bit more complicated than that, what does it mean for a thing to be good or bad? And then once we've accepted, I'm going to argue that we should accept that. Next stage of grief is bargaining. That's true, but is it my problem? Do I have to get engaged? And I'm going to argue that the answer is yes. And then we say, well, okay, if we can move on to acceptance, 5 stages of grief in 20 minutes. How do I even start thinking about this kind of thing? A little over, this is where I run out of hands, a little over 10 years ago, a young lady who later became my wife gave me this. It says, "I love you so much I could squish you." And I put it in my wallet. I still have it in my wallet. It didn't come with an instruction manual. She never said, "Mike, put this in your wallet." It just happened to be exactly the same size as my credit card. And I took the cue from that. Right? Now, before you look at me like I'm some weak-minded person that is just far too suggestible, where do you keep your Oyster card? Did you ever have instructions that says, put your Oyster card in your wallet, or is it just the right size to fit in your wallet, so that's where you keep it? Designers know that you never read the manual, and designers therefore go to great length to instill within the form of something instructions, so to speak, a message about how a thing is to be used. So this is to be held like this, in one hand, namely your right hand. This is designed to be used multiple times. This is designed to be used once and thrown away. This is designed to fit in your pocket. This is designed to fit in your ear, specifically your right ear, so that you never have to pick it up, and most importantly, you never have to put it down. This is designed to be just too big to put in your pocket, so that you carry it around in your hand all the time, ready to look at it whenever you need to, or whenever you don't need to, right? It doesn't fit, and there's a reason for that. All of these things are used in this way. I'm going to put this down because it's just weird. All of these things are used in this way as designed, and you never ever read a manual that says, throw this fork away, put this in your ear. Because the form of the thing itself carries with it a message about what it is intended for, how it should be used. So, going to give you a story. I have too many things on this lecture. Coke had a problem. People liked Coke. People drank Coke. They drink it for lunch. They go out with their friends of an evening. They drink it. Their friends would drink it. Everyone drank it in every country. It was ubiquitous. It was everywhere. And if you're judged by how much you can expand your sales, Coke could not expand its sales. You can't sell people more Coke when they drink it all the time, and everyone drinks it all the time. And so, and I mean, you can't get more than everyone drinking Coke all the time, right? And no one's going to be crazy enough to sit down for a meal and drink 2 servings of Coke, right? And so Coke looked at its product, and then it said, We could get people to drink 2 servings of Coke. Right? Who sits down at a meal and drinks 2 servings of Coke at once? This is 2 servings of Coke. Coke thought about this. They planned it. They said people don't want to drink a second serving. How can we make them drink a serving that they don't want to drink? So what you have here is how a Coke can works. If I open this, I now have exactly 4 options available to me. I can drink half a can and throw the other half away. I can drink half a can and save the other half for later when it's warm and flat. I can drink half a can and ask a friend to come and drink the other half because I'm not going to drink. No, please. Because who would drink 2 servings of Coke? Or I can drink 2 servings of Coke. Now, I'm not going to ask how many people plump for those options. And I'm certainly not going to ask how many people have ever drunk 3 servings of Coke in a single sitting. Right? But Coke thought about this. They made an active decision to get you to drink Coke you neither wanted nor needed to drink. And they encased that. They didn't give you a manual that said, drink more Coke. They just made the can bigger. Fair enough. Does that have a moral... I'm going to do the mic. Does that have a moral aspect? And I'm going to argue it does. In the world today, every day, 2 billion cans of Coke get drunk. In the world today, there are 2 billion overweight or obese people. Drinking Coke we don't need to may have moral consequences. Okay, but Coke was clearly just greedy people who made a bad design. So that was a bad design, was a design made by bad people. We can argue this, and you're all good people. You're all honest, upright Christian people, so you don't have this problem, right? I'm going to argue it's not so simple. Consider how to build a house. Here is a house. Now, historically, the life of the house happened in the kitchen. You had to do a lot in the kitchen, so you did everything in the kitchen. You cooked in the kitchen, you washed in the kitchen, your guests came into the kitchen, you looked after your kids in the kitchen. They had a kitchen table and they sat and they did their homework, right? The women who were, historically, the people who ruled the kitchen, were at the centre of the action. Now you get a bit more space and a bit more money and you build a bigger house and you can do a bit more, so what do? We can keep the workings of the house away from the sort of front presentable section of the house. So we have a slightly smaller kitchen that you can't fit a table in and certainly not a chair in, and we put a door on it so that people don't have to look at people cooking. And we put it round the back so that you can come in from the front of the house to the lounge without ever having to go through the kitchen. We put a sofa here so that your guests, when they come, rather than sitting in the kitchen and talking to you, have their back to the kitchen door and watch TV, because why would you talk to your hostess when you can watch a big colour screen TV? And your kids, of course, have to either do their homework on their own or have a tutor to do it, because what's mum going to do, shout through the kitchen door? The women, and it's still predominantly women who are in the kitchen, are now excluded from the life of the home. Was the man who designed this house morally bankrupt? No. Probably he was just a man. It probably never occurred to him that the layout of a kitchen was important. And so we have this situation that says, it's not just I plan to do something bad and design something for it, but if I am unaware that there are moral consequences to my actions, I walk into this minefield with my eyes shut. How much better would it be to actually wake up and say, you know what, there are moral consequences. Let's realise what they are so that we can build good things. And now you know why we're having this workshop series. That's the pitch for the entire workshop series. That's what this is all about. To be able to say, there exist issues, and we can close our eyes or open our eyes. So, what does it mean for a thing to be good? A good kitchen. Is my can of Coke, does it rub its little evil Coke hands and cackle a little evil laugh? What does it mean for a thing to be good or bad? I'm going to use an analogy, if I may. Consider a word like this. This word itself is not good or bad. It's patterns on a page. Right? The photons coming to your eyes are not good photons or bad photons, they're just photons. But still we talk about words as good words or bad words. Naughty words, offensive words, kind words, encouraging words. As if the word takes on a life of its own separate from the person who wrote it, which in a sense it does. This word will continue to be encouraging to people long after my computer, like after I'm gone. Okay, this word won't because I'll just shut my laptop down, but the words on your page will. I leave, I can get hit by a bus, but the words on your page will still continue giving meaning to you. So it takes on, in some sense, a life of its own, separate from me. I have a responsibility for writing good words, and yet the word takes on a life after me. So that's the Coke can that says we can design something to have a particular intent to carry a particular message. And the Coke can successfully carried the message that said, drink more Coke. Now for the kitchen, what's the analogy for that? Now in fact, we do have words which had an unintentional meaning. This particular cover, I promise you this was published by a highly prestigious journal, wanted to showcase Chinese scholarship. With unintentional consequences for those of you that don't read Chinese, Chinese poetry doesn't usually talk about housewives. This is an advert for something quite separate. So, the mere... I love that expression. Right, the mere fact that I don't know the consequences or I don't think through the consequences of what I write or what I design or what I make does not absolve that I've written something that had consequences. They actually had to pull this entire journal and reprint the entire thing with a new cover. That was unfortunate. Okay, so if you are the person who is making something, who is designing something, who is thinking about something, who is using something, whether you are deliberately having it for particular consequences or accidentally invoking those consequences, it is to do with you. As soon as you pick up a phone or a fork or a Coke can, or put a PowerPoint slide up for your Sunday morning worship, it is to do with you. And particularly for the people who are the inventors, the creators, the people to do it first, you have a double responsibility, in as much as Coke could make a can any size it wanted. But as soon as it had done so, the next company either had to actively make it different or make it the same. And of course they make it the same. And once they've done that, everyone makes their cans the same. And once they've done that, your can holder is the same size. And the die is cast, and you can't make a different size can unless... I've just destroyed everything. I have too many things in one hand. Here we go. Let's go back. Here we go. There we go. And you can't make a thing a different size unless it also fits in with it. If you are the first person to make something, you have a lot of freedom. But once you've made it once, the die is cast, literally, and everyone follows you. So as a creator, as a designer, as an inventor, as a researcher, you have a responsibility to do it right first time. So, hopefully I've now convinced you that you're all on board on this and you have to do something about it. So where do we start? How do we even think about these kind of things? I'm going to suggest one question, which is a useful question, which is, what does my technology serve? Or phrased slightly differently, what am I optimizing my technology for? Because your technology will be optimized for something. Your PowerPoint worship on Sunday is an easy way to present your slides, and it leaves people with their hands free. Right? You're optimizing it for ease. And so I'm going to pick 3 topics, quickly run through. One is medical technology, industrial technology, and phone technology. And various of these ideas are going to be picked up over the next 9 sessions. Whoop. So, medical technology is desirable for the invention of innumerable devices, and most importantly for the maintenance of health, which is undoubtedly the chief good and the foundation of all other goods in this life. Medical technology is optimized for making you healthy. It's blindingly obvious. Of course it is. What else could you optimize it for? That's why it's called medical, right? So, and this was written back in 1637, before we had modern technology of now, but it's the same thing. So let me take a case study of clinical depression. Why did I not perish at birth and die as I came from the womb? For sighing has become my daily food, my groans pour out like water. What I feared has come upon me, and what I dreaded has happened to me. I have no peace, no quiet, no rest in my soul, only turmoil. Right? Job wrestled with this. He wrestled for 42 chapters straight with this. In modern parlance, this is a medical problem. And the conclusion he came to, right at the end, he said to God on his knees, he said, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. My ears had heard of you, but now my eyes have seen you. Right? This is the consequence of this. And we shouldn't be surprised, because we know that suffering leads to perseverance, and perseverance leads to character, and character, hope. Right? Job sits in wisdom literature for a reason. This is the consequence of Job's suffering. Now let's imagine, if we'd optimized things slightly differently, how much shorter the book would have been if chapter 4 had started, then Eliphaz the Temanite replied, we got a pill for that. The book would have finished at Job 4 verse 2. If, as C.S. Lewis says, pain is God's megaphone to rouse a deaf world, technology provides us with the off switch. And we should use it carefully. I'm going to move on. Industrial technology. The primary, if not the only goal of human labour is efficiency. If I have a machine that makes widgets more efficiently, it is a good machine. If my machine is dull to operate, dehumanizing, degrading, destroys the environment and the social structure of the country in which it's placed, and makes widgets more efficiently, it's a good machine. Even if I don't need widgets, right? It doesn't have to be efficient at something, it just has to be efficient. As soon as you optimize for efficiency, you don't care if you need widgets or if you kill the people building the widgets, as long as you build something efficiently. Now, I'm not being anti-technology here, I'm just saying, just imagine what would happen if instead of thinking the aim was efficiency, if we said actually, oh, gone too far. Man's chief end is to glorify God and enjoy him forever. Would we build our technology differently? Okay, next one, phone technology. You'll recognize this picture. What do you optimize your phone for? Your phone is optimized for clicks. It wants you to click on it, right? A phone that wants you to click on it. Your web browser is not optimized for efficiency. It's certainly not optimized for glorifying God. It's optimized for you clicking on it. The consequence of that is it wants to draw you in. It wants your attention. It wants you to click on something to connect to your computer or your watch or the next thing that they can sell you to click on. A phone which pushes your attention away from itself and towards the person next to you is a phone that has failed. Okay, well, communication technology is sunk then. But information technology, right, I can find things out on my phone. Unless finding out information conflicts with optimization for clicks. Now you'll think I'm strange. Here we go. Here's an article, right? General article. If I read the entire article, I will click on fewer things. If I have 8 things on a single screen that I could click on to distract me, some of which are related to this article and many of which are not, I get more clicks. Why would my phone let me read to the end of a whole article if I could click on 3 things on the way down and never get to the end of anything? Because it's optimized for clicks. Okay, but I have Facebook on my phone. I can, even if I can't communicate, I can be sociable. Except that the human brain was designed for, thrives on, interacting with people face to face. And your phone does not want you to be face to face with anyone. It wants you for itself. So if you look at the amount of time people spend with other people interacting face to face and the amount of time they spend alone between 1990s and today, when this happens, you find Anxiety goes up, loneliness goes up, depression goes up, all three of which being risk factors for suicide, all three of which are consequences somewhere down the road of optimizing for clicks. So I don't need to tell you that if you have an information technology optimized to distract you from information, if you have a communication device optimized to inhibit communication, if you have a social platform optimized to make you unsociable, we have a problem. Right? Now, I'm not anti-technology here by any stretch of the imagination. What I'm saying is we've optimized for something that makes it do the thing that we didn't want to do because we didn't even notice there was a problem. Because we thought, hey, technology, how bad can it be? We walked into a minefield with our eyes closed. Now, if you make phones and you've always thought, I need to optimize this for clicks, I'm not restricting or stifling your research. You can still optimize it for clicks. But what I'm saying is you can also optimize a communication device for communication. I'm not restricting research by bringing in moral element. I'm opening your eyes to an entire field of research that no one in the world is looking at. Right? Currently, we optimize technology for things that are interesting in technology. Rankings, ratings, bums on seats, clicks. We can do that, or we can also say, hey, there's a whole new field over here of optimizing things for things that are important to people, to the world around us, heaven forbid, to God. Perfectly valid research, just as good as optimizing for clicks. Okay. Almost finished. How am I doing for time? I've not been watching. Good. Wonderful. So, that's a way of sort of getting a foot in the door, to ask yourself, what am I optimizing this technology for? What am I optimizing the use or the design for? And then you find that the world around you thinks very differently. So here's just one hack for just being able to break out of the mold, to think differently. So you've just designed a new phone, and your boss comes to you and says, this phone design does not optimize how easy it is to reach you at any time of day, at any place. Right? There are usually two responses to that. Namely, you're right. It doesn't optimize how easy I am to reach at any time of day in any place. Let me go and fix that. Or, you're wrong. It does actually optimize how easy I am to reach at any time of day and in any place. Because maybe you didn't notice this feature on the back here that does whatever. Okay? But while we're questioning whether the person is wrong or right, we still accept the basic premise that the thing that we are optimizing for is, can I be contacted at any time of day or night? Now, when Paul says, do not be conformed to the pattern of this world, if I apply that to this question here, where the world wants you to optimize for being 24/7 available, there's a hidden answer C, which is, who cares? There are more important things to optimize my phone for than whether or not my boss can reach me at 3 in the morning. And this is a mental habit that's fantastic to get into. The way you're using technology in your course, your students' grades are worse than they were before. Yeah? Was I trying to optimize how my students did an exam? This new medical procedure you have, the diagnosis takes longer to give. Yeah? And? I wasn't trying to do it fast. This new product packaging you have reduces our sales. Yeah? We can think differently. And so the aim of the next 14 and a half hours now is to dig into how that works. So, summary, very quickly. Stuff is not necessarily morally neutral, right? It's nice to think it's just an object. People need redeeming, but stuff is just stuff. And I'm saying that is misguided. We don't usually think about the fact that stuff is not morally neutral. But when we do think about it, we have an opportunity to make stuff that is good and to use stuff in a good way. And this actually opens, you could see my pitch here as a scientist, this opens the opportunities for new ways of doing things and new research. So, thank you very much.